Out. So welcome to RenéMarie's Stroke of Luck. I'm RenéMarie, and this is going to be an incredible show. Judy always does a fabulous job in pulling things together, and she always does just the right time, and the right people always come together. So thank you so much, Judy. All our guests today are returning guests, so we're really happy about that. And of course, the main topic to the show is about insurance and where we're going, what we've done, where we've come from, and how they feel that we need to move forward. And that's why we named this show Let's Work Together, because we know that it's not something that automatically could be set up. You can't. You have to work with the insurance companies and work with the government and work with everybody to help them to understand what is needed. And me as a stroke patient, and Michael as well, and drawing a blank, Dina, as a stroke patient as well. And Yanel's father, Yanel, was your
Yes,
father that
my
is stroke,
father.
and Judy's father as well. We all understand that there's more that they have to, the insurance companies and the government needs to hear from our views and what we need as stroke survivors and stroke family members to be successfully have to recover from a stroke. And I can only speak from my experience and my speaking to a lot of people on this show and with Judy, that love is the answer to the first thing that needs to be. Of course, medical attention needs to be brought to everybody when you go into the hospital. Doesn't matter, you're in the hospital, whatever, we all should love one another. And medical attention is the first thing, but recovery is about loving that person and helping them to successfully what each individual case needs. And Yanel can feed into that and talk into that as well, because money should be come after the situation, that payment, and that all should be the after, that all should be worried about afterwards. And I know it's important. I know how do you operate a hospital, and how do you operate aftercare, and how do you have people help us, but the truth is people are people, and they need to have the love and the attention and the focus on their recovery, especially in the primary days of a stroke. So this is going to be a very interesting and really passionate show that we're all very interested in making people aware. I will share that we're coming up with a different format for our telethon this year. We're gonna have do our telethon in three 1-hour segments, and we're going to have different topics to talk about with panelists. So it's almost like to keep the conversation going, show that we really think it's important to focus on what is important and where we've come from and where we're going in the next 10 years, and where our vision is to bring us to the next 10 years. This is our 10-year anniversary, and we're really, really, really excited about this telethon, and we're really proud of where we've come from. We were just a little thought, 10 years ago, and that grew to this extraordinary experiences that we have with all these wonderful people. And we really, Judy's done a fabulous job on welcoming everybody back, and that brings us right to this show. And one of the important topics that we've looked, it's in our mission statement is insurance. That's so. As always, I'm going to let Judy begin by reading the press that she always writes up fabulous, and then we'll get into the conversation. Judy, go ahead.
Good morning, Yenal, Michael, Deanna, and Eddie. Yenal Awari decided to go into the medical field when her father had a stroke. She started out as a nurse, LPN, and from there went into the admissions process. She wanted to be able to provide assistance and give guidance, since it is so confusing in regard to spending down for Medicaid insurance and what is covered and what is not covered. Yenal accomplishes that at Llanfair Care and Rehab by educating families and letting them know they are not alone in the process. Michael Erwin suffered a hemorrhagic stroke, brain bleed, September 10th, 2017. His symptoms were loss of balance, right side numbness, slurring of his words. He spent 36 days in the hospital, first in the intensive care unit, then in a lower level ICU, and then transferred to another hospital for inpatient rehab 6 days a week. By day 3 of his journey, his family was told he was out of the woods, though they all knew that the road to recovery would be long and challenging. Eventually, he began home rehab for 8 weeks, focusing on physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech language pathology. After some progress, his wife found a rehab facility called Steps for Recovery, and soon thereafter found the common issue of running out of insurance coverage. It is evident that most stroke survivors have standard insurance policies that typically only cover 2 months of rehabilitation. After that, patients have to find a way to cover their own rehabilitation costs or stop doing rehab, losing valuable recovery time. Many people, including Michael, need many more months of rehabilitation to regain functional independence. That is the reason why Michael founded Believe Stroke Recovery Foundation with the goal to provide financial support so that stroke and brain injury survivors can continue their rehabilitation they need without worrying about the lack of insurance coverage or having to pay out-of-pocket costs. Deanna Dine was visiting her sister in Connecticut when family found her unconscious on the bathroom floor of her sister's home. Rushed to the hospital by ambulance, the staff did not diagnose her stroke. Precious time was lost, and Deanna did not get the clot-busting medicine needed. Transferred to Westchester Medical Center trauma unit, she did get all the tests needed, and 10 days later was transferred once again to Long Island, where she started physical and speech therapy. Deanna and her husband Eddie learned fast that their insurance for physical therapy had run out and her remaining recovery would not be covered. As we discussed and are very passionate about, the RenéMarie Language of Love Foundation has one of the mission statements saying, insurance should not be the deciding factor in recovery. Deanna and Eddie will talk about the struggles and obstacles overcome by Deanna on her road to recovery. This educational and informative show will highlight the reasons for continued long care insurance coverage. Let's give a warm welcome to Yenal, Michael, Deanna, and Eddie.
Woo! Thank you for joining us. We're so happy to have all of you. I have so many questions going through my head, and I want to talk to each one of you, and I'm really excited. I think I want Eddie and Dina to start. Is he right there?
Yes.
Because Eddie, I don't know if Judy said, I don't think she said in the press, what was your history? What did you do? Because I think I remember you had a very intricate part. Did you work for insurances or did you talk to us about that?
No, but we did have a very good team at the last facility, rehab facility that Deanna was transferred to was St. John Land. And excuse me, about the 6th week, we were eligible for 8 weeks of covered rehab at St. John Land. And then in about the 6th week, the insurance company told us that we were no longer being covered because they felt that she was better and ready to go home. She was far from ready to go home. She could hardly speak. She was in a wheelchair. So we called a meeting of the St. John Land team with our caseworker, doctors, nurses. And the first question I asked was, is she ready to go home? And the answer was no. She needed the last 2 weeks to be prepped for when she came home. So we decided that since it was critical that we would self-pay, we didn't know how we were going to self-pay, but we worked out a deal with them. And the caseworker told us that we should speak to the New York State Insurance Board. So I wrote them a letter the next day explaining everything. And a couple of days later, our caseworker at St. John Land called us up and said, the remainder of our stay will be covered. Moving forward after that, when we did finally get home, our insurance company, which at the time was a pretty good, well-respected insurance company, gave us 30 PT visits for the year. Deanna needed physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. When we went to our very first session of the therapies, we had speech therapy that day, we had physical therapy and occupational therapy. That counted, even though it was one visit, that counted as 3 sessions. So we really only had 10 days of covered therapy, which was not, it just didn't fly.
It's not enough. Listen, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you know,
Yeah.
my stroke happened over 30 years ago, and I could still use physical therapy. I could still use it. My right side is forming atrophy. You know, and life is busy, and for me to have a healthy, you know, in a lifestyle, I really do need to go to physical therapy now, you know, after 30 years. So like it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. So sorry, go ahead. I'm passionate about it.
Oh, no, that's
Yeah.
great.
Me too.
Moving forward, we worked out a self-pay with the physical therapy place as well, which in retrospect, we did that for about 1.5 years, and it really did not help, because what happens is they need to bring a certain amount of clientele into the office every hour to keep the doors open. And what we found was she was being set up on a machine, and then our therapist would walk away and attend to somebody else. Well, if somebody is not on the machine with her, her body just goes everywhere. So we decided after a while to pull out of physical therapy and join a gym that had a swimming pool. And just by chance, our very first trainer, our free trainer session, happened to be a woman who was about to graduate from physical therapy college. So she had put us up on a program, working out with weights. We were doing it every other day, every 3 days, depending on how Deanna's body felt. And she also set us up on a swimming program. So we went from a tremendous amount of overpayment for the physical therapy out of pocket to just a gym membership, which was about $100 a month.
Right.
And as we kept going to the gym, we would add an exercise or two along the way. And that was really a big change in the therapy. We still continue to go to the gym. We swim. And now another big thing that we found is therapeutic horse riding.
Oh, never heard of that before.
We didn't either, but we started that 2 years ago, and it's dedicated to people with handicap, who are handicapped, and majority of the people there have either brain injuries or strokes. And it's very interesting, the bond that the rider makes with the horse. I don't know what happens there, but there is something special. The very first day that Deanna came home from riding, she said, "I can't believe it. I don't feel like I have a stroke right this minute."
Wow.
And
Wow.
The dizziness
yeah,
actually like
subsided.
stopped.
Wow. That's
was-
incredible. That's
Yeah.
incredible. And I gotta, can you get them to come on our show? Can you ask them if they'd come on our show to
I
talk
think they
about
would.
that? Talk to
We
them.
could do
Okay.
some research on that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. That's a new thing.
Yeah.
You know, have you ever heard of
I have not. No.
horse riding?
I mean, I've heard, not horse riding. I mean, I've seen the skiing, I've seen other, activities in sports, but not horse riding. I'm trying to imagine, if you have limited range of motion, how you're getting on the horse and.
Well, you probably have a lift.
They have a lift, and I can tell you how it started. They have either a lift to get you on the horse or a ramp. Deanna started on the ramp a year ago, and now she gets on the ramp, but she gets off of the horse in the arena, meaning she jumps off the
Wow.
horse with some help, of course, but
Wow.
there is a lot of progress going on 8 years later.
But
And
horses
there's-
are supposed to be very,
Oh my God.
bring peace, right? They're supposed to be
Mhm.
very tranquil animals. They're supposed to have really wonderful vibrations. So I would imagine if you're sitting on the horse, you're getting that energy from it, right, Dina?
Yes. And it works everything. Like,
Wow. Wow.
I go back and forth, and the horse works my legs. My right leg is stronger now than when it was before.
Maybe, and Yanel could feed into this a little bit more because she's a nurse, and and I'm going to let you share where you work and stuff in a few minutes. But what I want to say, maybe that's because you're kind of exercising without knowing
Yeah.
you're
It's like
exercising.
passive exercise, I'm thinking.
What's that?
It's like almost passive, with the movement of the horse,
Yes.
it's doing that. I mean, I
Yes.
wanted to ask, like, did you have one-sided weakness of your right or left? Like, I'm trying to imagine, like, how do you hold on to the reins and all of that?
Okay, my right side is
That's the weakness.
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
And I get on to the ramp with my left side. The horse comes in facing
Facing the arena. The horse comes in from the stables, facing the arena alongside a ramp. Jan is helped by the instructor to get on. And then they proceed into the arena, they ride for an hour, and then they come back out. Now, the riding thing is not just circling around. It's learning to navigate the horse. It's learning to pick things up on the horse, drop things off. It's learning to do things on the horse. And also, occasionally they will open up the arena and let them go around the outside of the facility. Now, they always have a lead person that's holding a lead, but a lot of times during the session in the arena, they will disconnect the lead for her. We could send you a video.
Yeah.
I know it's probably late, but we'll send you a video after the show. But it's been a very, very key part of our rehab.
and they have sidewalkers.
Yes.
Oh,
To make
okay.
sure if you do fall off, each rider gets 3 people, someone to lead the horse, and then somebody on each side, just in case you fall.
No, like,
To protect you.
Yeah.
That'd
they
be
don't want you to fall.
Right. Right. Exactly.
that'd be very interesting for the rehab. What's the name that you work for? I know
Llanfair.
Llanfair. It'd be very
Yeah.
interesting for them to kind of like work with a stable that has, I mean, if that's something new that's being worked on, used in other states,
I was going to ask, where is it in New York State? Because I mean, there's a few stables here, but I've never heard of it.
No, they are not. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Naples Therapeutic Riding Center.
In Florida.
In Florida,
Florida.
but there is one also in Binghamton, New York that we know of.
And I can
There
find
is
out from my friend.
several of them in North Carolina as well.
Yeah.
A stroke survivor here, probably 30 minutes from where I live, owns a horse farm, and they have the service. And a lot of people, a lot of stroke survivors swear by it.
Wow,
Mhm.
that's a
We're going to get all of them
Yeah, it's a
together.
whole new thing.
All these different centers together on a show.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, yes, we should. We should.
We need your help. Like,
And
yeah.
I have a friend who used to live in New York who worked at a center.
Mhm.
So if you want one, I can get one for you.
I'd like to have
Absolutely.
yours and the one that's in New York and the
Yep.
one in the Carolinas.
Yeah, yeah, because that's oh my gosh. And you know, the next thought process in that is, and this goes right back to our conversation, is it's probably not, but that'd be a great thing to be covered by insurance, right? Because that does work into the recovery field, you know. So it'd be
Yes.
very interesting to talk to the insurance companies about that and about a gym membership, you know,
Mhm.
because some people don't have the money to pay for a membership, you know, and it's really important. Go ahead.
There is a membership covered under Medicare. It's called Golden Sneaker, I believe. And there
Yeah.
are some gym memberships that would be covered under it. I think it has under the managed Medicare portion.
That's so
Okay. Silver Sneakers, it helped,
Yeah.
but that only
It's a portion of it. It's not everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
it grabbed just a little bit.
So it's something, yeah.
Wow. Wow. Oh my gosh. You both blew our minds right now. You really brought another concept to the show. And
When I heard about that, I was really surprised.
yeah, that's a
When
wonderful
Deanna
thing.
told me about it, I had never imagined anyone could be doing that as a recovery.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible.
For
Let's
recovery.
let's go to Yenal next. Yenal, tell us where you work and what you do. I know, but our audience, I know Judy mentioned it too. But then, I know you got into the field because your father had a stroke. So talk to us a little bit about that and his
And what type of
influence.
stroke, did your
Yeah.
dad
It
have?
was a hemorrhagic stroke.
That's what my dad had.
Yeah, and he ended up with right-sided weakness. Unfortunately, it does run in my father's side. His sister had a stroke. He had a stroke. His his brother had a stroke. But each one of them suffered differently. Like mine, my dad's was a hemorrhagic. I work at Llanfair Care and Rehab. We are a subacute and long-term care facility right here in Wayne. And, we assist all type of medical issues. Um, you know, Stroke is one of the ones that you need intensive therapy, and you need it for all three. You need, like they were saying, you need physical, occupational, and speech, because all of them are affected when you have a stroke. And it is almost a lifelong process. 60 days in rehab is not going to get you back to your prior level of function. You need at least, the maximum you can do on Medicare. Like Medicare gives you 100 days. You need that, but then even after that, you need longer therapy, whether it's outpatient. Outpatient, unfortunately, I'm sure you can attest to, if you can get like 2 or 3 days a week, that's it. But it's only like 45 minutes, and it's not enough to help with the physical and occupational and speech. And unfortunately, it's costly. And that's one thing that I think we have to address. With Renee, I think what you're doing is wonderful, helping all these families, but we need more, feet on the ground in order to get the laws changed for them to get more therapy than the days they allow. And if you have like a managed plan, they're going to be like, well, like what they said with you, you're at your level or you're maxed out at your, you plateaued. There's no more room for improvement. Well, you don't really know that because, you get somebody else to come in or you try a different form of therapy, like how she said with the gym membership and with the horse riding, and you'll still learn to, advance step by step.
Yeah.
I just want to add something to what you're saying. The therapy for a stroke, a hemorrhagic stroke, was very limited.
Yes.
And when the insurance stopped paying for it, they put my dad in a brace and his arm locked.
Yeah.
When he went for therapy and he came back, I exercised the arm and I exercised his leg as well, but mainly his arm. And there would have been a little bit more flexibility, but when the insurance stopped and when they put him into this brace, he was permanently locked.
Yeah. The problem is also, it's every aspect of your body, even your arm, okay, your hand. If they're not practicing and moving the, digits and all of that, you can start contracting your muscles. Okay. The legs, everything. It's not just one area. You do have weakness in one area and your body overcompensates by using the other one. But the area that's weak ends up getting, contractures. You get locked in place. You can't move it. And then if you're stuck basically at that point. It's unfortunate.
I tried discussing it with them and telling them that I'm here every day and I want to exercise his arm, but they insisted on putting it in that brace, and I couldn't do anything then.
You know what? And I'm going to let Michael talk next because we spoke about this the last show we were on, Michael, is how does the insurance company, how do the doctors know? How do they know our recovery? They don't know. They're telling us that, you've gone as far as you can, but they don't know. There's so many stories out there that with positive inspiration and backing, like Dina, you have your husband, Eddie. He's not. And Michael, I know you've done the same thing, Judy and Yenal. You're not going to stand for what they tell us. We can't do that.
Right.
We can't do that. We have to have hope. Hope is the most important thing, you need
to have an advocate. You need to have family members, the doctors and the therapists advocating for more therapy and more rehab for you, whether it's in a facility or going to physical therapy as an outpatient.
Yeah.
You need advocates.
Yeah. We started a letter to the President of the United States, and this is not political. And we want to be the ambassadors for strokes. And we spoke about this, Michael, last time you were on the show, that, we all want to join together and say, as ambassadors, as former stroke patients and family members, not as ambassadors who just go around, ambassadors to say, this is what we need. And so, I'm gonna come up with a draft of a letter again, to the insurance companies, to the president, to whatever president's in, whatever, so that we could start. And we need to write that all down, and we need to share with them that this is not acceptable. We need to have help, and I think I forget who I said it to, but I know that one of the ways to make change is to get a senator or a congressman on their platform. This is one of their topics. This is one of their go-tos. But what frightens me about doing that is I don't want this to become a political thing. I don't want it to be like, okay, if Senator, whoever my senator is he's a Democrat or he's a Republican. This is not about politics. This is about health, and this is about making a difference in the world, and this is about people. That's so important. This is about people. So, if you don't mind, I'll say, can you work on the letter with me?
Sure, absolutely.
Because the medical side of it. You know what's going on, and then I'll send it to Dina and Eddie and Michael and the rest of the people, because we've had a lot of people want to come on board with us. We want to have a lot of people. And I think this is definitely going to be one of the topics of the telethon. So between here and the telethon, this is one of the things we're all working on, and we're gonna reach out to each person individually, and we're all gonna sign that letter and say we're unifying to do this, and this is what we need, this is what we want, and we're gonna share with them it's this, and we want to work together. How can we accomplish this? We know we need to work as a team to accomplish the goal, and we'll have to give and take, but we want to have a conversation in that give and take with everybody. So Michael, so, what have you been thinking while you've been listening to our thoughts? And I, before I forget, I know I still need to contact you on helping me with our letters and stuff. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think one of the other persons you need to have on here, his name is Dr. Shakowitz. I think you were discussing that. He's a nephrologist.
Right.
And like I said, 80% of strokes are caused by high blood pressure. and he's a kidney and blood pressure specialist. And I know that everybody I've sent to him he has lowered their blood pressure significantly. He's a lot better than a GP ever thought about being. Um, in North Carolina, I know lots of statistics. The foundation we have has now provided over 80 grants, but so far this year we've provided 17 grants. The people that have had these strokes, to be honest, are women under age 44.
Wow.
And so almost all the people are very young. And we got a gentleman the other day that he just turned 50. And people think people are older that are having strokes, and they're wrong. It's a lot of younger people that are having them. In North Carolina, we average about 33,000 strokes a year. And the difficult thing out of that, our foundation is only North Carolina. We receive all kinds of calls from all over the U.S. wanting help, but we only are licensed in North Carolina. But you consider how many people have strokes, and how many people are getting rehab after they basically leave the hospital. I think once they get through with the general insurance, they're just not getting insurance. They're just not getting rehab. It's a small fraction when you consider how many people apply for a grant at Believe.
And we would like to help everybody.
Yeah,
And
you would. And I think that was one of the difficult things. I'm not defending the insurance companies at all, because it cost me a lot of money. Same thing. Deanne, you and your Eddie were talking about. I was going to speech therapy, occupational therapy, as well as physical twice a week. So it was 6 times a week. The insurance didn't last very long. For anybody below that is not currently on Medicare, it's very, very expensive. Now, I know now that I'm on Medicare, I pay for the Medicare supplement, which is about $150 a month. But now it covers basically anything and everything. So I can go as much as I need to, but therapy has been wonderful for me. And as you said, basically you're going the rest of your life, and we all make great recoveries, I think, if we have the right rehab facilities. But it's a very difficult process, and it requires a lot of prayer and diligence to improve.
Yeah. Judy and I spoke about this on my show one time when we were in Madhouse TV, that my main vision is to have a recovery center where when you walk through the doors, you don't have to worry about financial aid. You don't have to worry about it. It's almost like the St. Jude's, right? St. Jude's does such a phenomenal thing. And we know that children touch our hearts. Like I can't even go there, because I know, because of my granddaughter now, and not only because of my granddaughter, but my granddaughter has seizure condition. And it just, but that's our long-term vision, to have a musical therapy, and to have you can have a horse therapy, and to have physical therapy, and to have eating training, because all those things are a part of making us better, you
Yes.
know, and
And the swimming.
the swimming, to have a pool in there, and
Yeah.
to just walk through those doors, and like I just see like this big sign, like leave your troubles on the outside, like, and when you enter, and I see it, and I just have to figure out how God's gonna get me
Mhm.
there, because it's a big Judy's laughing, but like that's and all this, it's just, that's my real vision for us making a difference, and the other thing is to have, nurses and doctors and physical therapies, donate their time, their services, to donate it, giving back. We all know it's important in life. When you work, but you give back. So I just, that's one of my visions,
Well, I think that as Eddie and Deanna was saying, you know, all rehab facilities are not created equal.
No.
And we only have 5 facilities in all of North Carolina that we work with.
Oh, okay.
And we are very proud of those 5. And one of them was the one that I ended up at myself. But there is just a few individuals that seem to really, really care about their rehab. And we vet every rehab center that we agree to fund with our grants. And it's hard. I mean, we look at Raleigh. There's probably, shoot, I bet there's 500, if not more. And we really only have 3 that we feel good about. And I hear just horror stories from individuals. And so in Charlotte, we have one, and we can look at the western part of North Carolina, and we have tried and tried. We've even worked with people at the hospital, and we can't find a way that we can provide grants out there. So it's a interesting phenomenon, I guess, when you think about. But we won't provide a grant unless we have vetted the facility and feel very comfortable about the owner.
And that's what we spoke about. And I promise I'm going to
Yes.
call you this week to set something up, because, my organization needs to come up with a vetting process,
Yes.
right? And Michael graciously said that he share all his information with us. And that's a gift from God, because, something that's working, to be able to take those as my drafts and to be able to implement them. And with your permission, it's just us working together to really
Yes.
better the world. I mean, how I if I trust in Llanfair, because I know you, because I know you won't work for a company. What makes Llanfair special? What makes it unique? What makes it one
Our
of the
staff.
ones?
Our staff, our nurses and our rehab department. Our nurses have been there 30 years. I have nurses and staff that's been there 30, 40 years. They become like family to the residents. We have families that had their grandmother there, then they had their father there, then their mother. That means they trust in our care. And our rehab department, our rehab works so, they understand sometimes it's personalities. Okay. Not everybody's going to get the best out of some of the residents that are there. So they'll make sure that they team up members who are going to pull out and make sure that person is doing the best they can. So, I mean, it's our staff, it's our nurses and our rehab department. And, when you put someone in a facility, you want to make sure that they're getting the rehab that they need and the nursing care that they need. And that's what our staff does. I mean, I've had family members there. I trust in the care that they provide.
Yeah. Yes, yes. And you know, that's why like these shows are so important because you know, you get to know people and you go, oh my God, like they get it. They get
Mhm.
it. Like you could tell in 2 seconds if somebody gets it in their passion for what they're doing and you know, and I just think it's really important. So thank you for, you know, being, and I gotta say, you know, Diane Bromberg Stern, who the Senior
Yes.
Resource Group,
Yes,
who I've known for many, many years, connected us. Um,
yes,
She's on my board. She's also, you know, the president of the Senior Resource Group, and she is the best networker. And if you need anything in the world, you just call Diane. She will figure it out for you. She does things
yes.
with such a passion, such a passion. I wish her we can get her on the show, but she doesn't. She does. She shies away from Zooms and all that kind of stuff. But and the backdrop, she's doing everything she can
Yes,
to make the world a better place. She
yes.
really is. She really is. Eddie and Dina, I mean, you know, what advice or what wisdom is probably a better word would you give to somebody that has recently suffered a stroke or suffered a stroke for advocacy? Because like I said, you guys are a team and we always look at you as a team, but what about somebody who doesn't have anybody, somebody that's by themselves, and where can they, what do you recommend they look, or they find someone, or I don't know.
That's a really tough question.
Yeah.
Um, because if they are alone, maybe their best source is when they are in the hospital,
Yeah.
continuing their relationship with the caseworker,
Yeah.
because that's a good avenue of information, and they were very helpful with us during the process. Um, that is a really tough spot to be in if you're by yourself, because when you do go to the doctors, there's nobody else there to, I guess, follow up or remember the little things
Right.
or
Right. And I
just
wrote
be there.
something, I wrote something down before when you were talking, um, which impressed me because a lot of people don't do this, but you called a meeting with the caseworker. You called a meet, right? You did
Yes, yeah.
my
What
mind thought?
with the caseworker and her whole team, the head nurse, the doctors, and there were about 5, 6 people sitting around the table, and they all agreed right from the start that she was not ready. Not from a financial standpoint, but from a medical standpoint. One other interesting thing, to go back to the insurance for a second. When we told the physical therapy that we were leaving, um, I had asked them about swimming, and they never even brought it up because it wasn't part of the insurance. The insurance wasn't going to cover it. So I asked them, I said, so for a year and a half, we could have been swimming and we weren't. Maybe there's also a lot of things that go on for the partner during that time, because it's just tough, especially being the husband, because my wife took care of everything, all the doctor visits. Even when I went to the doctor, she would go with me to make sure, I was asking the right questions.
Right.
And so it's just ask a lot of questions, always go with your gut. And
And
the more questions you could ask, the better. I mean, I didn't even know about the swimming until we started digging out of the whole um, the whole thing was just such a new experience, as everybody knows. We just, at some point, your brain just shuts down and you don't think about what other possibilities there could be.
okay,
So
the book that you have,
The stroke book.
the stroke book.
Yep.
I went to one appointment. They had to bring a notebook with me, and the therapist would write in it.
oh, that's
Yes,
good.
early on when she was in the hospital and I was able to go back to work during the day when they had sessions and whatnot, we had this is a very good thing you said too. We had, and I didn't think of this, actually, Deanna's best friend brought in a backpack to the hospital with notepads, and just a whole bunch of different things, which I never even thought about. And we left the book, we explained to the team, we left a notebook on the table. So when they came to talk to her, they would also write a couple of notes. Just so that when I came in at night, I could kind of see what was going on. Now, for the most part, everybody, everybody was very, they were in agreement, and everyone, took.
Judy, you're on mute.
Oh,
Deanna wants to say something else.
I'm sorry.
No, like,
Yeah, so the notebook was a big help, and also looking back for progress, it's a good kick in the butt, because when you look at the book from 6-7 years ago, you're like, even from 6 months after it happened, it's not something you want to go back and look like at like family photos, but it is
Yeah.
something to say,
Yeah.
hey, look where
Yeah.
I've come from again. So that would be one recommendation.
and
I
that's,
have something I
Sure.
wanted to add to
We
that.
do want to write a, I'm sorry.
that's a good suggestion for somebody in it by themselves. Get a notebook.
I
Yeah.
want to add something also.
Go ahead.
In our town, there's a senior center, and they will assist somebody. Let's say somebody had a stroke or has some kind of illness. They could get help, even if they're living alone. They can get help from the senior center. So what I'm suggesting is to anyone out there, whatever town you're in, find out if there's a senior center, if they will assist you in some way, whether they will help you with food, whether they deliver food, whether they will have somebody take you to a rehab, to a, let's say I'm forgetting the word I'm looking for, a center where you can swim, where you could exercise, that kind of thing, and take you to doctor's appointments. There is that kind of thing available at a senior center.
Even in church, you can find people that would help you.
Right.
Yes.
And
I
here,
couldn't think of the word.
So two things are coming to me right now. First of all this new information and ideas, we need to come up with a list, right? So that our stroke families can just look at the options and make their own decision. But at least they know that options are out there, I think that's really important. And we should add that to the letter that we're creating, because that way, we're clear about our visions for the future for stroke patients. And the other thing is, as far as a notebook, I believe most hospitals now and doctors have portals. Am I correct?
Yeah.
That notes should be put in there. Am I correct in my mind thought?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're correct.
Do you have that down in where you live?
Yes, we have a thing called My Chart, and all 3 hospitals use it, as well as some of the private institutions as well.
Yeah. So that's a great thing, because that way, notes are all pulled in one place as well, so that the backing and the history. And we could print out those portals, I believe, so that we could have access to our information. It's incredible. It's incredible.
It's also very important when you have an MRI or some kind of test to get a copy. You can get a digital video, a CD right away. You just have to wait a few minutes. The report is available a couple of days later, and you should ask for it. You may have to call the MRI center or wherever and be able to pick it up, or have somebody pick it up for you.
Wow. Yep.
Mhm.
And that's another thing we should write in our list of things.
But I wanted to go back to what Judy was talking about with a senior center. We have, well, it's only about a mile and a half here. They put special emphasis on the disabled, and they really are special to stroke survivors. We play backgammon and chess a certain day. We have a balance class that is adapted to stroke survivors, and we have a beginner's strength class that is adapted to stroke survivors. The foundation, believe, puts on a lunch down there once a month with the single, well, there's another person for you, the single handed chef. He was a chef here in downtown Raleigh restaurant, and he had a TBI, and we sponsored him as far as several grants, but he constantly just wants to give back. And today he does a podcast, The Single-Handed Chef.
Wow. That's
The other
incredible.
thing I thought I would note, same thing for you, Renee, is that we have developed a special relationship. As you're aware, we have Duke here, we have UNC here, and we have Wake Med here, all three big hospitals. Once the insurance has been exhausted, they charge you $465 for 30 minutes.
What?
Oh, that's what they charge. And that's another reason that so many people are going to rehab. And Wake Med, we've developed a very good relationship where they call us and tell us if they have someone special that is really working hard and will consider, believe, and they know Steps for Recovery is the best private institution in Raleigh, and that's where we send them. So we have developed a very good relationship with Wake Med. Of course, the other two hospitals, it's really a political thing, and we're working on
Yeah.
having that same type of relationship with.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's 10:04, and this show has really been very informative. But I do want to give everybody the opportunity to, wrap it up and to share what, their vision is for insurances and what, we're all going to do together. Just what's in your heart to talk about right now. Go first for us.
I would love to, have a time where your rehab that is needed is not based on financial. Ideally, I think that's what we all want. And really, that's it, just based on the need and not on the financial part of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's my long-term vision. I'm just got to figure out, with all I know people are struggling and stuff, but there's some people that have a lot of money.
Mhm.
And we need to tap into them to say, like, it's not for us personally, it's for our family, our stroke and aphasia family. Please help us to support them. So I have to start working on that. That's the next 10 years. That's, the next few months are about me just taking notes and and wrapping up the last 10 years with a nice bow, and then coming up with the visions for the next 10 years. Like, this is what we're going to do. Watch out, world. Like
Look out, world.
watch out, because we're coming. So go ahead, Eddie and Dina.
I'd say just don't give up.
That's a good thought. It's a good thought. How long ago did you have your stroke, Dina?
8 years.
8 years. Wow. Wow. Eddie, you want to give your words of wisdom?
All right. I don't really have any words of wisdom. I'm learning as I go. Just hang in there and, like my wife taught me, stay positive.
And you've given, I mean, you don't believe you have words of wisdom, but today on the show, you shared so much information that you guys have learned. And once again, that's what this show is about. This show is about bringing education, information, and to everybody. And we're going to start to put that in a book. I'm writing a book called Extra Inning, you know, because my stroke happened on a softball field. So it's called Extra Inning My Life. I'm in the extra inning of my life. What am I going to do with it? Am I going to waste? You never, when you're in an extra inning, you don't waste it. You go
That's
for, you
true.
go to win, you know? So, or you play your hardest you can. You know, whatever the outcome, you give the hardest you can. So, Michael and then Judy.
Everybody has stated a lot of good things. I'd probably just say don't give up because there are facilities and grants and organizations that can help. I mean, everybody has talked about the church, the senior centers, the horse ride. There is so much out there. I realize that a lot of things cost money, but there is lots of ways to get around a lot of political tape.
Yeah, yes, and that just that aggravates me that
Yes, it
people
does.
can't work together, especially about people. We know everybody's got a right to have their difference in opinion and their different political views and their different views on life,
Yeah.
but when it comes to somebody's health, don't this is what I always believe, don't wait till it happens to you to get involved.
Yes.
Don't wait, because then you'll be singing a different story. Like this 80% of strokes, right? 80% of strokes can be prevented with the blood pressures, like there's ways to successfully stay healthy, but then that 20%, you can't help it. So, we just got to put politics aside and all that aside and just really work together for the common good. We really need
Yes.
to work together for the common good. Michael, I'll be calling you. Judy, we have to remember about getting that blood pressure doctor on the
Yeah.
show. I know Michael had said that last time.
Michael, you're going to send me some information, and Eddie,
Yes.
okay. And my thought to everybody out there is to be positive, seek assistance, try to find your senior center and see if they will guide you and help you with your recovery and help you get to a health club or to a doctor or any kind of assistance you need. It's out there.
Yes, and it's really important. Sometimes people feel they don't want to bother people, which I'm one of
Yep.
those. I'm one
Yep.
of those. I admit it. I'm one of
Understand.
those. But we really need to feed into people. I'll tell you, I will announce something. Judy, you don't even know. This past Thursday, and when I met with John, he's on our board. You're going to know this before Diane. On April 5th, 2025, I'm going to be doing my Unconditional Love concert. And it really, I've been for a long time, I've been wanting to do this. This show, when I always do shows, it's about everybody else. And, but this show is about my life and my story, and I've been listening
And
to
where are you doing it?
I'm going to do it in New Jersey. I'm unsure where. And it's funny because I'm listening to the Barbara Streisand biography, which is 48 hours long, which is an incredible audio because it's like she's talking to you. It's like she's talking to you, and then they go into the music. It's spectacular.
You need a big stadium.
Oh my God. But she's at this particular moment in time, she's talking about what is required to put on a good show. She said, and this is now I'm looking for a place. She's going, you need carpet because of the acoustics. And I'm like, okay, carpet. I can need a carpet. So like but I really need to, like, you know, for a long time, I've wanted to put on a show. I wanted to tell my story. So in this book with Barbara Streisand, I'm learning to be more detailed about my story, because in my world, I don't think like my story's worth hearing, although I know it is, you know, and I don't mind sharing in settings like this. But, you know, I've had, you know, for me to get on stage and to just tell my story, that's what I have to do. So I'm giving myself a year to prepare it. It's going to be spectacular. And by the
You're
end of
going to invite your entire
everybody,
Stroke
everybody.
of Luck team and your
Yes.
Language of Love team.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And also, you know, this is something, you know,
Yes.
that we know you'll like. We want to invite all the stroke patients around, all the
Oh,
stroke patients
wonderful.
that are around, to bring them hope, to bring them hope. And, you know, I hope you guys will fly in, or we'll send it to you via video, YouTube linked video. And I also, this is another announcement, but can't say it. I'll tell you guys when we're off the air. I reached out to somebody to ask him if he wanted to be a part of it. So I'll leave it at that. So we'll end the show, and then I'll share with our our panel. But thank you so much for joining us today. This is Judy. Thank you so much for all you do for the show. I mean, without you, we could not do this. And thank you, Yenal. Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you.
And thank you, Michael, for being a part of the show and for giving your time, because we know time is so valuable in life nowadays. It is so valuable. Things are so important and so crazy. But so thank you so much. On three, we blow our kisses if you feel comfortable. 1, 2, 3. Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Have a blessed day.
God bless
Bye,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Shut it off.
Yo no sé qué tú piensas, yo no sé lo que haré, yo no sé lo que estoy perdiendo, yo no sé lo que va a pasar. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti, no me puedes oír llorar. El día que caminaste por la puerta, todas las memorias fueron. Mi corazón está vacío, como si tú
lonely man, alone on the river with my heart in my hand. The conversation they're all dead, the lines cut off inside my head. I left here like a broken man with no idea of where I stand.